and welcome to Incoming, the podcast that takes a look back at the week's historical miniature releases. This is episode 23, which is looking back at miniature releases for week ending the 13th of November 2009, and as always I'm your host Neil Shook. Well, new releases for the historical world have been a little bit in short supply this week, so rather than having a top 10 I only actually have a top 8 for you. But in contrast to what happened a couple of weeks ago, this week is actually pretty good. So starting off at number 8, we have some new greens released from Rif Raf Miniatures. Now Rif Raf are producing a range of miniatures for the Rift Wars, and these are sculpted by the very talented Mr. Richard Ansell. There are a couple of packs of Rif with rifles, a Rif artillery crew, and also a Spanish artillery crew. Not really my period this, I have to say, but still nice enough figures. At number 7 we have the first of a couple of quite large releases from Foundry. They've been repackaging and re-releasing several packs over recent weeks, but now we've actually got some new stuff for them. This is actually a complete pack of ancient civilians, and there's absolutely all sorts of stuff going on here. You've got farmers, townsfolk, nobles and ladies, slaves, armed civilians, street sellers, some revolting citizens, and even a vineyard. The use of these figures is, I think, a little bit questionable, as I'm sure people will find some use for some of them. But I mean, for example, there's a vineyard there, 4 vines, 2 people picking vines. And I think someone's already commented online the fact that, hang on a second, you've got a pack there which contains 4 metal vines and 2 pickers of vines, and it costs about 10 quid. So, yeah, not an immensely impressive release, I think, from Foundry, considering the variation or almost lack of. There's an awful lot of almost like a duplication of figures, slightly different poses, but it's effectively the same figure. So, they're okay, but 1 or 2 packs might be useful to put in a crowd at a chariot race or something like that. But on the whole, not something I really go bundle on. However, number 6, another new range from Foundry. These are slightly better. This is 7 Years' War, and they're French Fusiliers. Another 8 packs available in this particular range. Typical Foundry sculpts, to be honest. And I suppose the one downside on this is that as you look around all their 7 Years' War range, the actual range of poses across all the different armies are pretty much the same. They just vary the kit, vary the headgear, vary what coats they're wearing, or what have you. And that's really it. So the only downside I'd say is that, again, if you own one Foundry 7 Years' War range, another one will look somewhat similar, short of the painting. At number 5, we have, unfortunately, a company that I haven't found a logo for. This is Great War Miniatures. You can obtain them through North Star. And we've just seen this one teaser figure here of a new Crimean War range that Great War are going to do. This figure looks, it's a typical British trooper. Great War's First World War range is absolutely fantastic. So if they're going to be producing the same level of models as they did for their First World War range, then I think this is something to keep an eye out for. Number 4, and a change of scale. It's down to 15mm. This is by a company called By Fire and Sword, who are a Polish company, and funnily enough, they're looking at the Polish Wars, and they've released a whole selection of new 15mm troops this week. So from here you see we've got several different things available. There's some German mercenary infantry, some Janissary, a Cossack table, there's Kazinzi Poor cavalry, some mercenary dragoons, some Pancheri cavalry, and finally the famous Polish winged lancers. Surely almost everybody's favourite Renaissance cavalry. And no, they're Polish winged lancers, they're not Kislevites. Okay? At number 3, a new release from Warlord. At least I believe it's a new release. I don't think I've actually seen this one before, but I'm open to be corrected. This is another new addition to Warlord's Ancient Roman range, and this is an Imperial Roman Onaga. Although I don't think this is the best War machine that Warlord have produced, I do like the characterful nature of the crew. The guy wandering back the windlass seems to be under some strain, and I do really like this one. On to number 2, and a complete change of period. This is Red Star Miniatures, another new company. And this company just started producing a new modern range. They've started with modern Russians, suitable for fighting in the likes of Chechnya. I do quite like the look of these, and it'd be interesting to see what else they're going to come out with. But these are an excellent start to the range. A couple of the poses could have been a little bit better, I think, but on the whole, very promising. So looking forward to more Russians. And number 1 this week, probably as most of you will expect, knowing my particular taste in miniatures these days, it's got to be the Perrys and their new War of the Roses range. These caused a huge excitement when the 3-ups were seen at Salute earlier this year, and the first infantry box is now available for pre-order. 40 troops for £15, that's an excellent value, and these are just superb looking models. You get a mix of billmen and archers in this particular set. Despite the fact that they're plastic, they seem to lack nothing when it comes down to the trademark Perry detail. And I think these are going to be hugely popular. Well, that's it for this week. As I said, quite a quiet week for miniature releases in general, historical releases in particular. But some little gems amongst that bunch, I think. So, that's all from me. Before I go, can I just thank Bill at the Miniatures page and Zach at Tabletop Gaming News, without which this podcast simply wouldn't be possible. If you want to see this podcast again, then please visit Warboots TV, as all the incoming podcasts are streamed at the bottom of the Warboots TV page. And finally, you may notice at the start of the show that, yes, I've changed the theme tune. This is actually an effort to differentiate all my different shows by their theme music, so I decided to try something different. Hope you like it. Well, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching the show, and take care until next week. Bye.